I arrived at the mansion, Kryloft Mansion, when the sky went dark and the sun retreated into oblivion. The taxi dropped me off outside a massive gate, which was connected to a tall, ancient, yet still dangerous metal fence around the estate. The estate itself was larger than any house I'd ever seen, and seeing the thing sent shivers up my spine. A bit towards the left of the behemoth was none other than an old stone bell tower with a strange red-coloured bell. I opened the gate, and below me I heard a pack of mice squeak and run off into the distance. The dim, purple shades of night were growing darker by the second, and, using my flashlight, I made my way through the twisting path and towards the front door. I knocked, using a door knocker that looked like a lion's head. It was soon opened by a member of the team, the young one, Rainy Light. I'd met her before, as my cousin, a one canopy hydrangea, had been assigned to a team with Rainy before. "Hey!" she greeted. "Hi," I replied. "Come in," she told, and I entered. "Everyone's just checking out the place." I saw two of the team, Paris Chambers and Caleb Azalea. I'd known Paris for a long time, as we had grown up together. These two, Azalea and Chambers, usually worked by themselves, but they were no stranger to joining forces with others. Paris was eating dinner, a nicely packed sandwich, while talking with the older, more serious, Kieran Gray. Azalea, for his part, was blowing bubbles. I remembered the file I had on Azalea. Supposedly, he was some sort of an empath, and bubbles let him relax. An odd fellow, but according to his history, he'd been integral in several of the cases. "Hey," I said. "Nice to meet everyone." "You too," Kieran responded. "I'm Kieran Gray. I'm from the JPI's sister organisation, 7. "I'm Tiffany Hydrangea," I explained. "Skeptic, historian, all that stuff. And I hope we can solve this case." "Fascinating," Azalea bubbled. "Name's Azalea. Would you like some dinner, perhaps? We've got egg-fried garlic bread." Sure," I muttered. Quietly, I murmured something along the lines of, "What in the hell is egg-fried garlic bread?" Outside, I heard a wolf howl in the distance as the last of the light vanished, turning the world into darkness. Then came the soft pitter-patter of rain. "So, which part of the house will we explore tonight?" Paris asked. "As you know, the week before we came here, residents of Maplin City reported seeing a man looking through the upstairs window at night. Any volunteers?"
"I'll go," Kieran replied. "Anyone want to come with me?"
"I'll go," Rainy commented. "I've looked at the blueprints of the house," I began, "and I believe there might be a secret room in the cellar." "I'll join you," Paris replied. "Azalea?" Azalea began, blowing a bubble. "I'll be setting up our equipment and stuff here." "Good," Paris agreed. "Let's get to work." "Wait, one more thing," Rainy began. "I've heard the name Kryloft before, an alternate version. Krylov. And this house, I swear I've been here before, I just can't remember." "I'm not familiar with that name," I replied. "You know what? Never mind," Rainy muttered. Kieran and Rainy left the group, heading upstairs to document any paranormal activity, as well as search for clues regarding Kryloft Mansion. As they left, I wondered what Rainy had said about the house. We headed to a door, which was a black one, made of lightly charred wood, or at least, that's what it was supposed to look like. I touched it, and realised it was just paint. "In we go," I murmured, opening the door. It was dark. Far too dark inside. My eyes, no matter how hard they tried, could not see within the caverns of the cellar, and we were forced to rely on our flashlights. We entered, the lights revealing to us a messy yet glorious room. Empty rows of storage, where wine had once been kept, was left to vermin, which had gladly taken up residence in the moist, dewy dungeon. As we shined our lights, the creatures would run away and retreat further into the dark. "What makes you think there's a secret room?" Paris asked. "It's a creepy cellar. Of course there's a secret room down there," I joked. But seriously, I read the old blueprints and read upon some legends, and one of them told me that back in the day, the cellar would lead to a cult sort of room. "A dungeon," Paris joked. I laughed. Perhaps. We searched the dark room, setting up small lanterns at points around the area so we would not have to rely on the flimsy batteries within our flashlights. I noticed that in the centre of the room was what seemed to be a well. Paris agreed that the well was strange, and we dropped a glow stick into it, and we both saw the light vanish. It seemed to go on forever, and I wondered if it truly did. But, just as I gave up hope of the depth of the well, the two of us heard a splash. I wonder, I murmured, eyeing a bucket that could be retrieved by the well's mechanism. Do it! So I did, drawing the bucket up. Camera? I asked. Paris smiled, knowing my plan, and handed me one. I used duct tape and taped the camera onto the bucket and lowered it. With my phone, we watched through the lens of the camera, seeing the well. At first, there was nothing but stones, and then things really started to get weird. The first thing we noticed were barely visible scratch marks. Marks that, as Paris recognised, were made by claws, or nails of some kind. We both wondered if someone, or something, had been tossed down there. "Wait, go up!" Paris yelled. "All right, what is it?" I replied, stopping the bucket. "Words!" Paris said, showing me the screen. There were indeed words of some kind, in an ancient language, some sort of cuneiform. "You're right. It's Babylonian," I replied. Being a student of history, I'd learned several dead languages, Babylonian being one of them. "Can you read it?" "Yes, it says," I focused, reading the ancient letters, "Here lies the tomb of Baal Dagon." "What does that mean?" murmured Paris. "Well, Baal either means Lord or a leader of the gods, but in this case I'd suggest Lord because Dagon itself is a Babylonian god. An elder god, actually," Paris interjected. "What? That certainly isn't what history says. Aren't elder gods like Lovecraftian horrors? I don't know, but a while back, Azalea and I found a strange book, and in this book, it talked about the sky-eating serpent and its followers, and the name Baal was one of them. I'll note that." "Great. Well, any suggestions?" I asked. "Surely you've got some." "Wait, I hear something on the camera." "Me too." We both heard a low, static-like sound that almost seemed melodious. The noise only seemed to grow louder as the bucket went deeper and deeper, and the claw marks on the walls only increased in number and depth. Soon, we could see the bucket near water, and we saw the last of the glow stick we had thrown into the black. But there was something else there. A small, perfectly smooth, floating stone sphere of some kind. "Let's take it," I suggested. "I agree," Paris replied. "This may shed some light on the Dagon thing." "Right." I drew up the bucket, making sure to take the stone with it, and soon we had the small, round, white stone sphere in the bucket. As soon as it reached the top, we heard a click somewhere else in the room, and on the far side of the room, where the fireplace had been, was now an entryway leading into what seemed to be an old, rotten stairway, going down further into the depths of the world. "I wonder what's down there," I commented, shining my flashlight into the dark. Down the stairs appeared to be some sort of underground mausoleum made of solid white stone. "That's creepy," Paris pointed out, and the two of us walked down the stairs. "Hey," I began, turning on my radio to contact the others. "We found a passageway going to some mausoleum, so check in on us if we don't return, okay?" "Your words have been noted," Kieran assured. "As for me and Rainey, we have not found much, but I can tell you this, the man the residents saw is nothing more than a mannequin. I will say that Rainey claims that the mannequin must mean something, but personally, I'll chalk it up to a bunch of kids." "Got it," Paris replied. "How about Azalea?" "I set up all our equipment," Azalea answered. "I'm oh so lonely. Won't someone come visit me?" "Nope," Paris laughed. "I've set up all of our equipment in the main dining room, which is the centre of the house. I've also begun setting up cameras all over the mansion, and I'm sending all new information to JPI headquarters." "Wonderful," I exclaimed. With that, we all signed off. and me and Paris Chambers continued exploring the crypt beneath the cellar. It revealed a long room where there were 7 mausoleums in total. The one we had seen in the centre had a sign in Babylonian which repeated the well's words, "Here lies the tomb of Baal Dagon." We began systematically checking the 7 graves, starting on the leftmost one. It was strangely in English, and I read the words, "Here lies Leviathan Cain." I definitely heard that name before. According to both my employer and JPI, and its sister organisation, 7, a person by the name of Leviathan Cain had appeared numerous times, often to warn people of coming danger. This tomb, I realised, could be the key to finding out who he truly is. The second one was also strangely in English, and it read, "The resting place of Sadie Clary." Not sure who that one is. I later researched the name on the internet, but besides a legend about a woman by the same name supposedly travelling through time, there was nothing. The third one simply said, "For Cassie White, Serpent of the Clock, a final dreamland for a life wasted." No idea who that one was. However, when I presented the name to the group, Rainey appeared to have recognised the name for a moment, saying it felt really familiar, yet she did not know the name. The fourth one was Dagon's, and we read that, so we moved on to the fifth one, which had a sign with a language I did not recognise, but based on the symbols, I conclude it detailed some sort of traveller of some sorts, like a hitchhiker. The sixth one was in Babylonian once again, saying, "Lord of the Flies, Baal-zebub, Beelzebub, Prince of Demons," I recognised. The seventh and final sign was in the same language as the travellers. It described a merchant of the night, and it had something to do with promises, which I assumed were contracts. This information elicited a strange reaction from Kieran Gray, who said he'd fought against a dark salesman who made deals. It was interesting indeed. "So, Paris, what do you make of it?" I asked. "It's all unlike anything I've ever seen before," she replied. "So much weird evil beings' resting place." Indeed. After that, we returned to Azalea, and when everyone else gathered in the dining hall, we gave my report on the bizarre structures we had found, as well as the strange round stone that had led us into the depths.
"We'll need to take shifts in watching the house,"
Kieran suggested.
"If anything strange happens, wake a person and then investigate the occurrence."
"An excellent idea," Paris replied. "Anyone want to take first watch?" "I'll do it," eagerly cheered Rainey. "Wonderful," bubbled Azalea. "You should be able to watch the house through the camera set up. Use the computer." "Okay, thanks." With that, the meeting was adjourned. Rainey would take watch, then Kieran, then me, then Paris, and lastly, Azalea. I crawled into my sleeping bag and began to sleep. As I fell from the light of the world to the world of dreams, I couldn't help but hear the sounds of a cat screaming in the distance.